Hello, my dear students. Welcome to my today's recorded video lecture on few more topics pertaining to EVS paper, that is a non-core compulsory paper for you for first semester of Maharani Cluster University. In yesterday's class, we discussed quite a few topics pertaining to biodiversity, and in continuation with that, I want to discuss the succeeding topics what I am supposed to teach. Today I will be discussing about biodiversity patterns, the three types of biodiversity patterns, and if time permits, global hotspots. Okay? And the study material pertaining to all this and the question bank, etc., has been already supplied to you. And all these things, concepts, everything will be discussed in offline class also. With all this, if you have any doubts, you can always walk to my department during working hours and get all your doubts clarified. You can always walk to zoology department. Now we shall start today's talk. So what is biodiversity pattern? This is one more topic what I have to discuss to you to cater your syllabus. See, these biodiversity patterns refer to the spatial distribution and variations of biological diversity across different spatial aspects ranging from local to global. Okay? So over the different spaces on this globe, how the biological diversity is distributed, what are the variations you find, and this range will be from a localized area like a small village and at large to the globe. All right. And Darwin, a famous evolutionary biologist, to his time only had noticed that three distribution patterns of biological diversity do exist. One, the species vary globally. At global level, the diversity varies. At local level, the diversity varies. And over the time, the diversity varies. Over the time in the sense, say for example, what biodiversity, what species you find in hot wet season in Maharani Cluster University campus may not be the same in summer. Like this, over the time also the species will vary. Okay? And he also says that different yet similar animal species inhabit separated but similar habitats around the globe. All over the globe, in a separated fashion, you may say, for example, if you find X number or N number of similar habitats. And believe it or not, in the similar habitats, you find similar faunal diversity, that is, same animal species. That's what he exactly meant. So, this biodiversity pattern has to be discussed at global level, it has to be discussed at local level. That means I have decided to discuss this considering India as an example. I mean biodiversity at national level, taking our own country as the example, and then I will discuss biodiversity over time. And these are the probable questions that you may be asked to write in the exam. Write notes on biodiversity patterns for 2 marks. Discuss biodiversity, biological diversity at national level with example of India, that is local biodiversity, and write notes on regional or local biodiversity of India, and then the biodiversity over time. Okay. So now let us discuss each one of this one by one. Okay. First we shall take up global biodiversity. Say in 1992, in the year 1992, different countries, major ones, chieftains, they met at Rio de Janeiro and conducted an Earth Summit, and there they discussed about the threatenings offered to biodiversity and how to conserve them. There it became evident that there is a growing need to know the scientific name of this huge number of species that are present on the earth, about 1.5 million species. Okay. And mapping the biodiversity, therefore, was considered or was recognized as an emergency task for conservation and practical utilization of the available biodiversity in a judicial manner. Okay. Now, so this was the decision taken at Earth Summit in 1992, which held at Rio de Janeiro, where mapping the biodiversity was rightly recognized as an emergency task in order to plan its conservation and practical utilization in a judicious manner, so that we are going to leave some biodiversity to our next generations. So there, one aspect of this global biodiversity is terrestrial biodiversity, which is best described as biomes. Okay, biomes. And these are the largest ecological units that are present in different geographical areas, and they are named after dominant vegetation available there. For example, like tropical rainforests, then grass prairies, savannas, desert vegetation, tundra vegetation, like this. So the basis for classification is the dominant vegetation available in that area. Now let me tell you something about tropical rainforests, because these are inhabited by millions of species of plants, birds, amphibians, insects, mammals, etc. And they happen to be the Earth's largest storehouse of biodiversity. And they have highly specialized niches, and where you find the fauna and flora. Okay? About 50 to 80% of global biodiversity lies in tropical rainforests, and more than 1/4 of the world's prescription drugs are extracted from the plants growing in these areas, and most of them, they give solutions to the deadly diseases like cancer. Okay? Now, so it is our concern to conserve these tropical rainforests, which are of great value for us. All right. So this is one biodiversity area that you find at global level. And the another one happened to be the tropical tropical rainforests. You find around 125,000 flowering plant species, right? And it is needless to say that you have to save or conserve these tropical rainforests. Then next to tropical rainforests, another biodiversity area at global level happens to be temperate forests. Though they have much less biodiversity, okay, there is much better documentation of the species here. So we have roughly 170,000 flowering plants, 30,000 vertebrates, and 250,000 other groups of species which have been described. And Here I have given a table that will tell you about the biological diversity, like how much of diversity we have pertaining to each taxonomic group. And the source for this is World Resource Institute, 1999. According to them, these bacteria and cyanobacteria, they are 5,000 in number. Protozoans, which are the single-celled animals, are 31,000. Algal fauna comprises about 27,000. Fungi, which includes molds and mushrooms, around 45,000. Higher plants, algae 27,000, fungi around 45,000, higher plants around 2,50,000, sponges 5,000, coelentrates around 10,000, okay, and then flatworms, annelids around 36,000, molluscans around 70,000, insects 7,50,000, then mites, ticks, these arachnids 1,20,000, fish and sharks 22,000, amphibians around 4,000, reptiles around 5,000, birds around 9,000, mammals around 4,000, whole thing come to around 14 lakhs of species. So this is the living species estimates roughly done in the year 1999. So this is one aspect of global biodiversity. Okay. Then it is very interesting to know that apart from terrestrial biodiversity, marine diversity is much more higher than the terrestrial biodiversity, but they are very less known. Biodiversity in estuaries, ಅಳಿವೆ ಅಂತ ಕರಿತೀವಲ್ಲ ಅದು, estuaries, coastal waters and oceans, where it is amazing, right? Sea is the cradle of every known animal. Out of 35 existing phyla of multicellular animals, 35 existing phyla of multicellular animals, 34 are marine and 16 are exclusively marine. For example, echinodermats, like that. Okay. So this is about biodiversity at global level, one biodiversity pattern. You may be asked to write a note on global biodiversity for 5 marks. Whatever you write from this should be enough. Then we shall discuss biodiversity at national level, that is, we shall consider India only. So the biodiversity in any given nation depends on the climate of that particular area. India has a rich biological diversity of fauna and flora. Fauna means animal species, flora means plant species. Over 6% of the global species are found in India. It is estimated that India ranks 10th among the plant-rich countries of the world, 11th in terms of the endemic species of higher vertebrates. Endemic species means species which are restricted to a particular area. Okay, this will be taught by another teacher in some other class regarding endemic species. And 6th among the centers of diversity and origin of agricultural crops. Okay, and to date we have identified about 1,50,000 living species, and out of these 25 biodiversity hotspots, which I am going to present it to you in my next lecture, 2 out of 25 are present in India, one in northeast region and one in Western Ghats. Okay, and India is one of the 12 megadiversity countries in the world. Okay, this again will be discussed little later. This is what I wanted to talk about, the biological diversity at national level. Okay, Indian biodiversity. Then we have to talk something about regional or local biodiversity. This is the third pattern. Okay. Biodiversity at regional level you can understand better by categorizing species richness under four categories based upon their spatial distributions. Okay, like point richness, alpha richness, beta richness, and gamma richness. Point richness refers to the number of species that can be found at a single point in a given space. Alpha richness refers to species found in a small homogeneous area. Beta richness refers to the rate of change in species composition according to different habitats. Okay. This I can give you one small example in your college campus only. Please, during this season only, walk near the corner where you take a turn towards Maharani's Arts College. There is a big tank like thing where unwanted things are dumped. On the walls you can see quite a number of snails climbing the walls. So there that area is predominated by the snails. On the other hand, soon after heavy rains, walk towards your canteen in Maharani Science College campus. On the walls you can see quite a few number of millipede species, climbing, walking over the wall. So this depends upon the change of species in composition across different habitats and different timings also. This you may not find during summer. You may not find snails during summer. You may not find millipedes during summer. There you may find different species of insects in your own college campus. Then gamma richness refers to the rate of change across large landscape gradients, right? And alpha richness is correlated with physical environment variables, especially the most important abiotic factor that affects alpha richness happens to be the temperature. Here is an example of tunicates. Tunicates are a group of animals which belong to Protochordata. Okay, and this is the example in Arctic waters. There are 400 species in temperate waters and 600 in tropical seas. So when you look at the number of species in different regions, you can make out that temperature seems to be the most important factor that affects alpha richness of the tunicates. Okay, so like this you have to study regional or local biodiversity. Okay, then beta richness means cumulative number of species increases as more heterogeneous habitats are taken into consideration. For example, ant species found in North Pole may be 10, around 10. When we start moving towards the equator, and add more and more habitats, number of species of ants may reach as high as 2000 on the equatorial region. Okay, my dear students, for this class, this is what I wanted to discuss. That is about the concept of biodiversity patterns and what Darwin had noticed quite a long back regarding these things. And I have discussed global biodiversity, national level biodiversity, and regional or local biodiversity. In next coming lecture, I will be discussing you about hotspots of biodiversity at global level and discuss in detail about those two hotspots which are found in India. Till then, thank you for stay blessed. Thank you for your patient hearing. Soon meet you in the offline class. Thank you.